The city of Summerside has put out an expression of interest to anyone who wants to develop and run a golf course within the city of Summerside. J.P. Desrosiers, Chief Administrative Officer with the city of Summerside, joined Sports Roundup on Sunday to talk about this. All right, so a lot of talk has been generated in the community, in particular the golf community, over the last few days after the city of Summerside threw out an interest, a proposal of interest to see if anybody wanted to build and operate a golf course here in Summerside. And of course, we already have one. Like I said, it's dormant. So obviously from that, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of, people, there's some head scratch. Anyway, having said that, as far as golf is concerned here in the city of Summerside, we've had the Summerside Golf Club golf course a long time. And like I said earlier on, next year would have, if it operated every year, it would have been, someone was telling me, the 100th anniversary of the club. But as you know, it hasn't been operating here of late. And golf has actually, since COVID and after COVID, golf has become, it's become a business that, people are doing all right with. We have we have a number of golf courses here on Prince Edward Island, and from all reports from people, they're doing well. People are coming from off island. Local people are playing golf. It's hard to get tee times at certain golf courses by time. So, so here in Summerside, and if you read the information and listen to the mayor as he talked to CBC, saying that, maybe the city of Summerside feels they're losing out here. As far as golf is concerned. Now, getting people to build a golf course, listen, there's only so many on Prince Edward Island, that would build and operate a golf course. You certainly have to have enough cash, and, sometimes you got to have the right company with the right type of tools to be able to build a golf course. So there's only so many. Anyway, those are questions. But joining me on the line here, like I said, CAO of the city of Summerside. It's his maiden voyage as CAO here on Sports Roundup. I was chuckling. I said I was calling him Terry Murphy. I'm not sure he's as tough as Terry was, but he'll learn that, I'm sure. J.P. Desrosiers, who has worked a long time with the city of Summerside, and in particular on the recreation, entertainment, the tourism side, and really has brought that to a position where, we're for the size of the city of Summerside, we're an envy, not only of Atlantic Canada, but we're an envy of right across the country. And JP and his crew have done a wonderful job with that, and he is now CAO of the city of Summerside. Good to have you aboard for your maiden voyage, Captain.
Yeah, my maiden voyage, where I will not be proving that I'm as tough as Terry is or was, that is for sure. I'll do my best, but those are some big shoes to fill in terms of toughness.
Yeah, and if you answer any questions whatsoever, that'd be, if you have questions that you won't answer, well, you'll be a lot like Terry, because Terry wouldn't answer a question or two, and then he'd get mad at you that I asked the question. So there you go. All right, so this proposal, the city of Summerside feels they're losing out. That's what I see. That's one thing I see. The other thing I see is, are you poking the spa bear and trying to get them to operate, get them going, get that course not dormant anymore, but working and going? And what's the idea behind this?
Yeah, I think first off, this is a temperature test, Paul, to see engage the interest from the industry. If the industry itself sees Summerside as a viable golf destination option. And I think what really drove home the push to get this RFI out into the market was Golf PEI's submission of their economic impact report that came out the last couple of weeks really indicated the significant value that golf and golf tourism brings to the local economies. Something like $130 million of economic activity a season that Summerside, due to its challenging geographical location to any other golf courses, is just simply missing out on. So to do right by those operators in our community, we thought it was an important step to explore the temperature and the desire to do golf in Summerside again, and kind of see where it goes. It's not lost on us that, you know, you look across the island, there's 5 golf courses in the eastern end of the province, and there's 1 in Prince County. And that seems a little odd to me, and something that maybe we're leaving opportunity on the table with.
All right. You know, the one, of course, is up in Mill River, and it's operated by, island native, and we know Don McDougall and his business prowess and bringing the Blue Jays and, you know, Labatt's, and he and his company operate Mill River and have done, you know, a terrific job up there. My understanding is a couple of years ago, and I'm going to ask you this, that the city offered Mr. McDougall that, would he be interested in coming to Summerside and operating and building and operating a golf course. Is that true?
Not quite that way. We certainly have had conversations with Don, many of those conversations over the years, and a number of other golf operators in the province to see and measure the interest. And quite frankly, 2-3 years ago, the interest was there, but I would call it maybe lukewarm, from not just from Don, but from others, just in the sense that golf's measurement in terms of its impact was strong and showing signs of growth, nothing like it is today. So yeah, we've certainly had conversations with Don and others over the years, but nothing to a point where we were going to be moving forward on any type of arrangement. But now, as I mentioned, since we're in the scenario where golf seems to be just exploding, and providing such great economic returns, we as a municipality have our own procurement processes we have to follow. So this is a step in that process to ensure we give everybody an equal, fair crack at golf in Summerside. Should a private operator wanted to open up a course on private lands in the community outside of some zoning changes, they could have done so without the municipality. But I think it's always important to engage with municipalities and other levels of government right from the outset. So we're hopeful that that's what this process will do.
Yeah, golf is something, well, how should I say this? I mean, if you're a golfer, you're passionate, or, it's a sport that many people, and in particular, many people as they move away from their work life into retirement, would like to move towards, and in particular here in Summerside, and many do throughout Prince Edward Island. And, of course, we here in Summerside by times, and I know we're trying to change all that, by getting more people into the community and younger people into the community and the like. But by and large, we talk a lot about being a nice community to live in retirement. And there's big business in that type of thing. There's big business in retirement. The golf course would be obviously a perfect retirement, and is a perfect retirement activity, with walking and still competing in sports. I mean, competing against you and your buddies and sport and that type of thing. So having a golf course is, in my opinion, and again, I'm a golfer, and I grew up playing golf since I was very young, under 10, and learned my trade at the Summerside golf course. But golf's important for people, and in particular for people that look for a place to retire and have activities. I mean, we do have a lot of things here to offer retirement people, but golf would be a key. If would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, so I mean, I touched on the economic value a lot in the last few questions, but I think I'm glad you brought it up, because the recreational component to golf is something that's, simply because of my background, I'm passionate about as well, and it's an all ages sport, as you mentioned. So it's something that you can learn early in your youth and continue to play throughout your retirement and in between as well. And that gap is a struggle, I think, for families in Summerside right now who are trying to get their youth engaged in golf. It's a pretty big commitment to sign your daughter or son up for golf lessons in Cavendish or Mill River and make the commute. And, you know, I, like you, Paul, learned to golf at the Summerside Golf Course. It was an easy, because they had club storage, it was an easy bike ride out there. You spend the entire day on the golf course and bike home after, and it was a great place to spend your summer. And as you mentioned, those in the retirement world who, you know, want easy, accessible golf as part of their retirement plans, it's a bit of a challenge right now. It's an expensive undertaking to commit to golfing outside of the city and commuting. So, yeah, there's certainly recreation value there, and there's sport tourism value in terms of hosting events at a nearby course that I think our sport tourism team would like to dig into. So it's not just an economic driver for sure. I think we always knew the recreation value was there. But the economic value that was just recently reported certainly put it over the top to get this RFI out into the community and kind of try and move this thing along a bit.
All right. Well, why not build it to the city? Why not do it yourself? I mean, you've built a beautiful rink, you know, yourself. You've got yourself a yacht club. Why not? And I know that if you had your druthers, you'd like to, you want it into the private sector, have the private sector do it. I get that, and as I look through my Facebook, I see former mayor of the city of Summerside on Facebook, along with comments, about that, and the former mayor saying that he would have, Mayor Stewart he was probably asked that question on Facebook and said, "Look, I'd like to have it in the private sector." And somebody brought up, "Well, you got a rink, and you get the yacht club. Why not do it yourself?"
Yeah, I mean, and that's certainly an option. One we have not explored yet, and I think for a couple of reasons. One is there's likely competing priorities from a financial perspective within the city, would this be the time that council would like to invest that type of dollar value into a course? There's hundreds of examples, because I've looked them up across the country, of municipally owned and operated courses. And then there's a significant number of other models where they're municipally owned but private sector operated, and kind of all different avenues in between. So I think this initial step is one of us trying to learn what the better options may be. I think everything's on the table until it's not. We certainly, I can tell you this for sure, we don't have the internal expertise to operate a golf course as it stands today. The private sector does, and there's some great examples right across our province of really well-run and profitable golf courses. So I think it's important to kind of look at that at face value first and determine whether or not the private sector, one, has interest, and two, would do a better job. And I think offhand they likely would. But we'll see through this process kind of where that takes us.
Yeah, generally speaking, people say that, the private sector will do a better job than government will do on something. But, if a lot of times if there's no one stepping up, then government they feel they have an obligation to do that. Only so many people on PEI to do this. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Kernan Briggs operated the Summerside Golf Course for a while, and no surprise there, because they had lots of equipment, and the golf course needs lots of heavy equipment. Island Coastal operates, golf courses around the province as well. And, of course, then either that or you got to have some cash, or at least be able to talk some people out of their cash, and maybe government out of the cash. And, Mr. McDougall has done a nice job of that up in Mill River. And, of course, he has as well a golf course in Cavendish, that he's purchased here lately over the last couple of years. So, there's only so many people on Prince Edward Island, isn't there?
Yeah, I would say that's likely common across a lot of industries on PEI. I think we're small enough that you no matter what industry you talk about, there's only sort of a select few that are involved. And in the case of golf, I mean, we do have a high volume of courses, but between provincially operated courses and the private sector, to your point, yeah, there's only so many. And we may see interest from off island. I don't know. There are other operators and owners across the region who may see value in golf and PEI, especially in light of as I keep bringing up, the economic value that's there. So I don't know. Again, I sound like a typical bureaucrat when I say this, but this is the initial step into trying to determine who may be the operator and who may be interested. And if unfortunately there's no interest, that's a gauge as well of kind of where we are. But until you go through this step and close out the RFI and see the results, we really won't know what we don't know.
Well, I've been phoning around at the end of last week, and, I've talked to a number of people, and there's some interest. Whether there's interest enough to, want to start building a golf course, that's another thing. And I don't want to be disrespectful to people out there who, deal makers here on Prince Edward Island who can put together a group and do something like this. There are other people out there that can do that. And you never know. There might be, there might be 7 or 8 or 5 or, people get together and do that. I mean, I talk about having big equipment and the like that a golf course, you need to move some land around and that type of thing. And, obviously a Robert Duffy out in Kincora is a busy guy, and he does a lot of things here in the city of Summerside. So, Robert and his company could be thinking about it as well. He could be thinking about it in terms of maybe having partners that, know a little more about golf. But so you never know what's going to happen. Golf can be a flashpoint for a lot of people. It takes a lot of land. Probably about 170 acres, 150 to 170 acres to build a golf course. Maybe I'm out there. I'm not sure. If I have those numbers absolutely correctly. And then, of course, we, there's a lot of wetlands here around Prince Edward Island, in particular around Summerside here, as we know. And, I was driving around looking at potential places where all that could marry up. And I look out at where the windmills are, and I see a good tract of land out there that could probably do that. I see Slemon Park having, a good tract of land out there that they could probably do that. And then somebody brought up, over on the South Shore that, it's not theirs. It's somebody else's land and that type of thing. But, some waterfront land on the South Shore in the Linkletter area. It's not the city of Summerside, but either is Slemon Park. But there are some places, aren't there, here in the city of Summerside to be able to, build a golf course, and maybe there's other places as well.
Yeah, we haven't. The first place that everyone seems to go, and I kind of fell into that bit of a trap as well, is where could it go? Where's the land? And that's certainly a valuable question, obviously. But I'm not in a position to be able to determine where a golf course would be more suitable or not. I think let's leave that to the industry to decide where things may work, whether it's municipal or private sector lands or provincial lands or a mix of all three. Who knows? I'm not sure, but leave that to the professionals in terms of location and land acquisitions and get their feedback first. One thing I'm glad you did bring up, Paul, is the discussion about wetlands. Certainly sensitive topic, and it should be for all of us. And I think one of the key points, and if you read the RFI outline, it's pretty clear that, any land that's identified for a potential golf course, really early on, their consultation with the local watershed groups to determine how best to construct a golf course to be as least impactful as possible will be a kind of a goal for us. Not kind of, it will be a goal for us. And to determine early on if, we're entering a water course for a golf course development that's going to be really impactful. It just may not be a suitable location and may not proceed because I think at the end of the day, we've always been, as a municipality, keen on the environmental stewardship piece, and we want to continue that as well.
And, of course, when I say it's a golf course is a flashpoint, it's a flashpoint. There's going to be, people out there now that, are going to say, golf, and, they're not for the golf. I mean, I've seen them on Facebook and that type of thing, and about the land and about taking land to do it and taking water in order to, grow the golf course and making it green and the like. So there's going to be, it's not, building a golf course is not an easy process. I mean, getting the land, having the equipment, starting to make some hills and some greens, that's the easy part. It's navigating the province. And when I say the province, I don't mean government, but navigating the province is really going to be the tough part.
Yeah, I think the Department of Environment has always had a really good working relationship with the city. There are really good examples of golf courses around the country and the globe, frankly, that have been built with sustainability in mind and actually to try and improve the surrounding environments and watersheds. So those would be the types of examples we'll be looking for. I think the province gets into a bit of a challenge when they find out about watercourse realignment and impacts on the environment after the fact. I think they like to be consulted prior to and have input so that the design of the course follows the rules and regulations, and that's exactly what we plan on doing in this case.
Right. Have you had anybody give you a buzz yet?
Yeah, we've actually had a significant amount of interest. I was surprised. Obviously can't get into who and why and what, but you never know when you put these RFIs out what the temperature is. But in this case, it seems quite positive and more interested than I anticipated.
Yeah, the right people interested? I mean, I could have called you too, but all I owed is a round-pointed shovel.
Well, you did call me, but it was for this interview. But we can count it. No, I mean we'll see. I mean when the RFI officially closes, how many submissions in the inbox will be the real telltale. For now, it's people interested. But I guess when I say it was encouraging is that those who have called with interest have all been supportive of the concept of a course in Summerside. So they too see the value that you and I talked about here today.
Have you had any calls from the Dynasty Spa group?
I have not personally, and I don't have an update officially from that group on kind of where their course is. Anecdotally, as a boardwalk user, I see lots of activity out there, and that's something I'm glad you touched on, because I want to be clear. Like this is not in spite of or due to what's happening at the course there. We believe strongly, and so does Golf PEI, that two courses in Summerside would not only be good, they'd actually support one another. It creates more product. Paul, there hasn't been a new golf course development on PEI in 25 years. And despite these, continuously really strong visitation numbers, you can get stagnant in the industry if you're planning your annual golf trip, and this year you're planning on going to PEI, but it's the same courses you've played, and there's not a new option to accompany those courses. Eventually, you get stale. So, Golf PEI, I think, is supportive from that perspective. And then, if you look at the numbers, and if anyone's tried to get a tee time anywhere in the province this summer so far, despite the weather, it's really challenging, and it just indicates the need for more courses. So, we're supportive of that course moving along. I don't have an update today of where they are with it, but I again, like I said, this is not in spite of that. This is in addition to that course. Yeah,
I was talking with one of the, at least one of the people that, one of the, I would say, public relations person with the group, and they tell me they're moving straight ahead. In fact, they're hiring. They're looking at this week hiring. Starting to hire people and the like, and their commitment is, at least was, and they've said it before, is that, the opening of, getting the course back up in 2027. So, I mean, who knows? But, I mean, coming off the bridge, turning left as opposed to going right, as far as a lot of people are concerned, is rather important, not just to come play golf, but to stay in hotels and to use restaurants and bring family. I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And right now, one course in Prince County doing a great job. But mind you, they would have their hands full trying to get people to convince them to turn that left for that one singular golf experience. I think if there was 3 courses in Prince County, as an example, more left turns would happen, meaning more of that $130 million slice of the pie would end up in Prince County, and I think the tourism operators and the entire community would benefit.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Terry, you've done a good job. You've offered way more than you've Terry would have done. So I appreciate that, and there's no doubt that we'll be talking again. But thanks for doing this for me this morning, JP.
Always a pleasure, Paul.